Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you're doing well by the grace of God. Let's make sure that we are all connected. Let's see. Okay. I believe we are connected. Okay. Amazing. My name is Larissa Assam. If we have never met before, hello. So nice to meet you. We are going to be talking about alopecia today. Tell a friend, invite someone, and let's get started. Okay. All right. Okay. So if we are meeting for the very first time, hello, my name is Larissa Assam. I am a daughter of God. I'm a daughter of God. I am a follower of Jesus Christ. I am blessed to be a doctor, board certified. I am also the founder and CEO of literally the best clinic slash private practice slash health platform in the world called Rofi. Um, Formerly was Rofi MD, now is Rofi HQ because we're evolving. And we do so many amazing things. We take care of women, we take care of men, we take care of children, people of all ages. But really, the focus in this season has been really helping women prevent complications in pregnancy. And so I come on and talk about different health topics that I believe we should all know about. Sometimes I'll talk about current affairs, if there are any that are tied to the topics. And today we will specifically be talking about alopecia. Tell me in the comments, have you heard about alopecia before? Is this something that you've dealt with personally? Do you know anyone else who has dealt with alopecia? Let's chat. This is an interactive live recording for my podcast. I actually have a podcast called The Rofi Collective, and it's a collective of health education topics like today's topic, and also stories of my clients, of patients, of women all over the world who are willing to share just the different ways in which God has impacted their health. So without further ado, welcome. We cover this conversation in the blood of Jesus, and I pray that you get exactly what you need from today's conversation. And I'm so glad you're here. So, today we are talking about alopecia. So, let's talk about it. What exactly is it? How common is it? Etc. Etc. I like to start with talking about how common whatever it is that we are describing or discussing is. And in a nutshell, what is alopecia? In two words, it's hair loss. Hair loss, right? I'm going to get even more detailed with what it actually means in just a moment. But in a nutshell, alopecia is hair loss. And what we know is that it affects millions of women all around the world, especially the type of alopecia called androgenetic alopecia, which is also called pattern hair loss. Okay. It is one of the most common causes of hair thinning in adult women. All right. There's another type of alopecia, which is called alopecia areata. And this type is more so an autoimmune process that's happening. It tends to affect about 2% of people worldwide throughout the course of their lifetime. However, hair thinning and hair shedding in general are frequently underreported worldwide. So, these are just some of the statistics that I want you to know about, broadly speaking. Um, the biggest one being over 50% of women experience significant hair thinning or hair loss by midlife, especially the type I mentioned, which is the androgenetic alopecia or pattern hair loss. Okay. So it tends to affect the quality of life for many women and men too. Men lose hair as well. All right. Men lose hair as well. It also affects hair follicle health and also self image. That's a big one. That tends to be a really, really big one, actually. Um, Someone said they were just drinking nettle tea for their hair. Yeah, that's actually one of the practical things you could do to actually improve your hair growth, etc. So I'm glad you're doing that. How did you learn about it? Let us know in the comments. There are actually a couple of teas and supplements and herbs and things out there which could be really helpful for people who are struggling. So let us know. All right, so we've talked about the prevalence, and alopecia is actually very common. There are a couple of public figures, even who have talked about dealing with it. There's a public figure, she was Miss Delaware, Kayla Martell is her name. She was actually the first bald contestant in Miss America history. I actually wish I had a picture because I would have put it up for you to be able to see. But she essentially decided that she would use her platform as a contestant in the Miss America competition to raise awareness about hair loss and hair shedding. Um, there's another public figure. Her name is Mariah Plath. She actually experienced alopecia, and in her case, it actually impacted her eyebrows and even her eyelashes. And so it's important to know that yes, it can happen with the scalp, but it can also even affect people's brows and people's lashes. And there are so many reasons why women can develop hair loss or alopecia. But the main definition, as I mentioned earlier, is to know that alopecia refers to hair loss, which is beyond normal shedding. It is expected that your hair will shed. The hair is the life cycle is usually about 21 to 30 days, okay? And so there is a degree of shedding that is normal. It's meant to happen. It's shedding because you're growing new hair, right? However, when you're literally noticing clumps of hair falling out, your hairline is being affected, these are causes for concern. And there are different forms. So there's the androgenic alopecia, which I mentioned is pattern hair loss. Alopecia areata, which I said is more autoimmune. So there's an immune process going on and it causes a patchy type of hair loss. And there is telogen, eff- let me get this right, telogen effluvium, right? Which is due to stress or also due to shock. It's due to stress and it can also be due to shock. So when it comes to hair, it's actually very, very complicated. And I want to actually share a little bit more about my personal story and why I care so much about hair and why I talk about it so much. So I was probably about 8 years old, I would say, when my journey with hair started. And I grew up in Cameroon. My sister and I would go to get our hair done, braided at least once or twice a month, right? So if not every week, we were going every other week. So what happened was when they would do my hair, we would get cornrows for school. And we called it primary school, but in America, it would be elementary school. So when they would be doing my hair, they would be doing my sister's hair at the same time. So what happened subconsciously was as they were doing my sister's hair, I would just watch how they were doing it. And as I did that, I started to pick it up, not really knowing, but I developed an interest in it and I just started to pick up the skill, not knowing that that was actually a gift from God. And I just love God and I love how He works and how He operates because at the time, what did I know? I was just a kid. I would go home and then take my dolls and I would start to practice with my dolls. And that's literally how I started doing hair. So I've really been doing hair for a very long time. Fast forward, over the years, my cousins, I used to do their hair, whether it was washing, braiding, whatever. And it just continued to grow and to develop. When I eventually moved to the US and I went to college, I went to school in upstate New York. And so there weren't a lot of people who could do hair for Black girls or especially like African girls, Caribbean girls, etc. And so I saw an opportunity. And because by the grace of God, I had the skill, I started to do hair. So I started, and that's literally how I made money through college. I had a job on campus, but that really did not do too much for me. But hair was my thing. Not only would I do braids, cornrows, whatever, but I would also even make wigs in college. And that continued on to medical school. I did hair then as well. And then when I got to residency, things got pretty busy. And that's what made me kind of stop. And in undergrad, my undergrad research was actually on hair. It was evaluating hair curliness from a genetic standpoint, looking at DNA samples from people from different backgrounds. So my school is pretty diverse. So people would literally, by God's grace, donate their samples. I would collect them. I would literally get like a buccal sample, so a sample from the inside of their cheek. And I would then do a DNA protein processing, whatever. And long story short, through genomic sequencing, I would then determine, oh, okay, this is the reason why some people in the world have straight hair and some people have curly hair and wavy hair and coily hair. So I love stuff like that. I used to make my own skincare products in college. My family, they used to actually laugh and make fun of me. Like I used to talk to them about hair pH. That's what I wanted to talk about at the dinner table when I would be at home, and they would just be rolling their eyes. My little cousins, I will make all of them join me as I would be doing my research. So I say that to say I have a very long standing track record with hair. And so it's amazing how God does things, because thinking of life now, at Rofi, by the grace of God, I have a protocol which I develop for people who are dealing with hair loss, or people who are, even if you're not losing it, you're just wanting to grow your hair or even to optimize your skin. I think sometimes we forget that the scalp is actually skin. So it's all tied together. I wanted at some point to even become a dermatologist, but God, in His infinite wisdom, knew that that would actually limit me a little bit. But He knew that that interest would be necessary for what He needed me to do at Rofi. So, fast forward to now, I'm doing hair consultations, I'm doing skincare consultations, and I was so bothered by the fact that I couldn't find products I liked enough for my patients when I was in residency, that I actually started formulating my own products. That's actually how Rofi Beauty came to be. I was very disappointed, so to speak, with the products, the quality, the results that I was seeing from my patients, especially those who had dry skin. I myself have very dry skin. And so by the grace of God, the first one was the Rofi Beauty Butter. Let me see, I can actually show you a little bit. There's a little bit in here if you can see in the camera. Um, Basically, I did a lot of research and realized that when you are dealing with dry skin conditions, you can't just use any and every product. Even lotions may not be ideal. And so I got to work, got to formulating. It took me a whole year actually to arrive at the formulation which I had. I had people critique me, family members, friends, colleagues, really critique it. And that's how we arrived at the formulation we have today. The next product that came after that was the turmeric honey soap. And then came the moringa honey soap, and then the moringa hair oil. So it's really been a journey developing these products. But by the grace of God, we now have products that are safe for moms, they're safe for babies, they're all natural, they're clean. And that's very important. They're non toxic, especially in today's day and age. Cancer rates are going up so much, and we don't always talk about it, but beauty products are some of the most common ways in which women are put at risk of developing cancer. So, what you apply to your skin, remembering it is the largest organ, your skin will literally absorb what you put. You want products like Rofi Beauty, not just because it's my brand, but literally because they are literally developed to be skin food. It's like you're feeding yourself through your skin every single time you apply them. So let's go back to alopecia. I just thought it was good to share that little background. And for people who, I see a lot of new names and faces, and I'm actually really excited. Thank you guys for being a part and joining. God willing, we're going to keep the consistency going. And so let's get back to alopecia. So there are some risk factors. There are actually a lot of risk factors for alopecia. I'm only going to talk about the three most common ones. The first is hormone imbalance and sensitivity to DHT, which is a type of cholesterol. So basically, what happens in this case is that hormones, specifically androgens, they interact with the hair follicles. And what happens is every hair follicle has a growth phase. But when you have this interaction with these hormones, with these androgens, what can happen is that they now get shortened. Okay? They now get shortened, the growth phases. And so that tends to happen and contribute to people developing alopecia. The second main risk factor is inflammation. If you have followed me for some time, you know I talk about inflammation a lot. Autoimmune conditions, like I mentioned, alopecia areata. Unfortunately, what happens is they tend to disrupt the follicle cycle. So again, hair I mentioned has a life cycle. It's about 21 to 30 days. When there's an autoimmune condition in the body or a heightened inflammatory state in the body, what happens, unfortunately, is that can now start to disrupt the follicle growth. It can happen in the scalp, as I mentioned earlier. It can also happen in the eyebrows and even in the eyelashes. Okay. And the third main risk factor I'll talk about tonight is having a depletion or deficiency in nutrients and also stress, metabolic stress. So when we think of nutrient depletion, we're thinking of nutrients such as iron, the B vitamins, zinc. The thyroid can be out of thyroid hormones. If they're out of norm, that can actually cause stress and that can impact hair growth. A state of chronic stress, let's say it's stress from a job or family related issues or relationship issues, even, these things can all undermine the health of the hair follicles and eventually the growth of the follicles. So, one of the things I'm very keen on at Rofi is making sure that we take a root cause approach to every single thing that we do. For some people, the issue might be a nutrient deficiency, but for someone else, maybe it's more of a stress situation. So it's not a one size fits all, and that's why I really love the intentionality with which the Lord, by leading of the Holy Spirit, this was developed, because we really do get to the root of it. We need to check your blood work. We need to really sit down and have a consultation and get an in-depth history to really understand where the problem could be coming from. And I'll also say this for women who are pregnant and or postpartum. It's definitely true that sometimes when you're pregnant or you're postpartum, you experience hair loss. But just so you know, that's not the case for everyone. And so that stands to reason. You must ask yourself, why? Why is that the case? Pregnancy requires a lot. It's a huge demand on the body. And so it's very important that you equally make sure that you're supplementing when you're pregnant, when you're postpartum adequately. And one of the ways to know how much you need or what you need to supplement with is actually checking for these nutrients. I didn't mention vitamin D earlier, but that's also a very big one, a big contributor to hair loss. And you will be amazed at just how common vitamin D deficiency is. I think I actually need to do a live on vitamin D deficiency because I see it so much that we need to actually talk about it. Okay, let's continue. So, how can we prevent hair loss? Let's say you know that it runs in your family, or you're starting to see early signs and you want to make sure that it doesn't get any worse. One of the best things you can do is go and get blood work done. You want to check your hormone levels, you want to check for any nutrient imbalances, okay? Um, you also want to make sure that the food you're eating is food that's going to help strengthen your hair follicles. So, having anti inflammatory foods, having nutrient rich foods, very, very, very important. And then the hair habits, the hair care habits you have. If you're dealing with hair loss or you're at risk of it, you want to limit styles that are going to apply too much tension on your hair. Chemical stress, so this could be texturizers, relaxers, etc., dyes. You want to be mindful because these things, unfortunately, can make them worse. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and I don't remember what hair treatment. I think maybe they had some type of hair treatment. And after that, unfortunately, it led to significant hair loss. They had started to notice it, but after that, it made it significantly worse. And then applying a lot of heat to the hair can also damage those follicles. So, with that said, you also want to make sure that your day to day life is supporting healthy hair growth, right? Stress management, huge. Optimizing sleep, huge. These are just two examples, but you'll quickly find out when you are intentional about optimizing your health in general, that also will positively impact your hair growth. And there are also ways to reverse it or to manage it. I'm not going to go too in depth here because this now starts to get a bit more clinical. But let's say you now find that there's a hormone imbalance or there's inflammation based on the labs you've done. You can now work with your designated doctor and work to make sure that these are balanced, basically. Um, I'll actually pause and give a disclaimer here. You know, these videos which I do, they are for educational purposes. They are not for formal medical advice. I always advise that you follow up with your designated health professional. But know that at Rofi, we do offer hair growth protocols. We offer skincare protocols as well. Depending on your specific situation, it's possible to have a personalized protocol made for you. Okay. All right. So let's see. What else do I want to talk to you about today? Let's touch a little bit on moringa. So, moringa is a superfood. I absolutely love it. I think I've noticed, let me speak from my personal experience. Moringa has helped me more than any multivitamin has, than caffeine has. But it's amazing because the benefits are not only limited to energy and to strengthening the body, but it's actually been very well researched. So moringa seed oil has actually been proven to help with hair growth, and I am so thankful that we have the product available at Rofi. To be honest, what I do with my hair in particular, I'll show you my hair for those who are watching on camera. It's in a braid at the moment, but basically it's almost reaching my waist by the grace of God at this point. But what I do is very basic, very simple. I use the beauty butter we have. It's actually great for use from head to toe. So when my hair is dry, I'll apply it. But when I want to wash my hair, I'll use the moringa soap. And again, it's great for use head to toe. And every day, one thing I do use every single day is the moringa hair oil. Okay. That's what I use to keep my hair moisturized. And it's amazing because research shows that it has anti alopecia activity. This is actually studies from animal models. So the concentration of the oil, it does matter, but it has been shown to increase hair length and also weight, specifically in people who have DHT induced alopecia. Okay, there are actually a couple of studies. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I think it's really great to know that you're looking at something that has frankly been researched and well studied. What else? Let's see. Let's talk about two more studies and then we will move on. So, the next study we can discuss. There was another study that showed that moringa seed oil promoted hair growth in mice models and modulated genetic expression associated with hair growth. So, basically, what does that mean? It basically led to when they did this research study, they studied some growth factors that have been known to be helpful in hair growth, specifically VEGF and 5 alpha reductase. Scientific words that basically mean it helped people to grow their hair. It helped these mice to grow their hair. Okay. And then lastly, moringa seed oil contains phytosteroids and it also contains fatty acids. And they interfere with the formation of DHT, which ultimately leads to you having healthier hair follicles. In a nutshell, the key part is to know that the botanical component of moringa has been researched. I'm not going to say well researched because there's always room for growth, right? And it's been shown to be very, very helpful. Now, those are just a few studies I mentioned, but let me just talk a little bit more about moringa because I want people to really learn and know more about it. The leaves are also helpful. Those that was concerning the seed oil, but the leaves have iron, they have zinc, they have calcium, magnesium, B vitamins, protein. So imagine we're talking about hair loss and we're saying that one of the things that contributes is nutrient deficiencies. Imagine that every single day you're taking moringa leaf powder or the capsules, you're literally giving your body these nutrients that it needs every single day for the growth and the strength of the hair follicles. Iron deficiency is a very big one, and moringa leaf makes bioavailable iron readily available. And the amazing thing is it also contains vitamin C, and that enhances absorption of iron. So the leaves have also been shown to reduce systemic inflammation, they reduce oxidative stress. Um, Moringa leaves, they improve insulin sensitivity, lipid profiles, because when there's this hormonal or metabolic imbalance, oftentimes there's a degree of insulin resistance and the metabolic state of the person is a bit out of whack, so to speak. Stress can contribute to this, we mentioned, right? But moringa, the leaf extract, has been shown to modulate stress responses and also help with cortisol levels. So, stress related hair loss, it helps with that too. Um, there was an animal study. It was done with the moringa leaf extract, and it showed improved follicle count and faster hair growth in the modules of induced hair loss compared to the control. So it basically shows again that the multi-nutrient profile of moringa, it creates a favorable environment for hair growth. Now, how what are we doing? How does this relate to your life in particular? Moringa is available at Rofi, right? So if this is something that you want to just get ahead of, you notice your edges are starting to get thin, try the Rofi beauty products, try moringa. Honestly, schedule a consultation. I think actually that's a great starting point. Schedule a consultation. Let's start there. Let's really talk through everything, get to the root cause. If you already kind of have a sense as to what exactly the issue is, make sure that you're replenishing, but know that moringa is a great starting point, right? Because it literally will give you the nutrients that you need. So I'll summarize again how Rofi in particular can help you. One, moringa is available in the powder form and also in the capsules. Two, Rofi beauty products are available. There's the butter, which is a great hair butter, especially I use it even in my locks. So I would, with locks, you have to be a bit careful, but certainly if you have an afro, if your hair is straighter, looser, whatever the case may be, it works. You can also try using the moringa soap to even wash your hair and your skin. Ba da 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 da. And then lastly, the moringa hair oil is also available. So we can develop a protocol, we have products available for you, and then we can also do a consultation. And the amazing thing with these consultations is that you can actually be anywhere in the world and sign up to get them done. So, with that said, that brings us to the end of today's conversation. I hope you learned one thing or two things or 10 things. This video is going to be uploaded to my YouTube channel, to the Rofi YouTube channel. it will be on the Rofi Collective podcast. But thank you so much for tuning into the live podcast recording. Please leave a comment, share something that you learned, one or two things that you didn't know before. Please share this video with at least 10 people and let's just share the word. Remember, again, this is simply for educational purposes. This is not formal medical advice. You are welcome to schedule a consultation, a formal consultation, so that we can develop a protocol for your specific needs. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know it's later in the day, but thank you for tuning in. I see people actually from different parts of the world tuning in tonight, which is just incredible. And I'm very humbled. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. And God willing, I will see you in the next video. Bye.